All right, we're live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. My name is Jeremy. I am with Made Management, and I'm excited to be here this Saturday morning with everyone. Good to see my guests here with me today. I have a special guest. I hope you guys are ready for this. I hope you guys, if you're joining me in the morning, you've gotten your coffee ready because my guest, David, and I, we decided before we started that we're going to solve all the world's problems today while we're on this stream. So
Easy.
so buckle up, everyone. I hope you I hope you guys are excited. I am joining you guys. I'm not in my studio in Puerto Rico at the moment. Those of you who have been watching for the last few months, you notice my background looks different. I'm actually on the road traveling. I'm in my production trailer. I have an Airstream. I'm in Montana at the moment, and we're streaming live from Montana. How about that? That's exciting. I'm in a place called Babs, Montana. David, have you ever been there?
I have not, but I'm very jealous. It looks
Babs,
beautiful.
if you don't know, it's like 15 minutes from the Canadian border. So we're up here in the Glacier National Park area. So exploring, running into bears and all the wildlife and everything else that's up here while we're working on the road. So having fun, exciting, but I'm jealous. You're joining me from the beautiful city of
Mexico
Mexico.
City.
Mexico City. So I know that that's where you're located. That's where you're based. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone and let us know who you are and what you currently do in Mexico City?
Hi, everybody. My name is David. I live in Mexico City. I have been an agent for models for, God, almost 20 years. I've owned my agency for 16 years. We focus on high fashion. We have a big agency in Mexico City. And then recently, in the last 3 years, we've also done um, actors and we do fashion PR for certain celebrities. So it's a little bit of everything. And I love it. The industry in Mexico has grown a lot since I started my agency here. And especially after the pandemic, I would say that we had a very big growth spurt. So it's been really cool and really interesting to be a part of it.
Nice. I love it. So Mexico City is where you're based. And do you work with talent outside of Mexico City? Uh, Outside of Mexico?
I do. We work with, so we send our talent that we find and we, nurture in Mexico City. We send them to other countries to work. And then we also bring talent from other countries to Mexico City to work. So a little bit of both.
Oh, nice. Very good. I might hit you up after we're done here to see if I can be on that talent roster. I want to be sent to Mexico City.
You should. You need to come visit. It's a fun city. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I have been to all different places in Mexico, but never Mexico City. So I'm actually it's on my list of places to visit. So I definitely want to do that. I know that last time we talked, you were mentioning Mexico City Fashion Week. Is that still happening? Has it happened yet, or is that still coming up?
Just happened a week ago. A week ago. And it happens again. So twice a year. It happens again, like late October, I would say.
Oh, nice. How was it? How was the event?
It was very good. It was exhausting. It's fun and madness and everything. But it's so refreshing to. I remember during the pandemic when they were doing like the virtual fashion shows or whatever. I really missed the energy of being able to go to Fashion Week and seeing everybody because it's kind of like a little family reunion where you bump into all the editors and stylists and designers and models and everybody that you work with. Um, all in a few days, you just keep bumping into each other over and over. So it's really nice and the energy is really cool. Um, and the locations where they had the different shows this past week was really fun. It was very interesting.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Those of you who do not follow David on Instagram, I'll put your on the bottom of the screen. There we go.
Oh,
I like
super.
following you on Instagram because I like seeing all the all the fashion photos that you're posting, all these events that you're attending.
Thank you. I
You
enjoy it.
you
It's fun.
you are a busy person, that's for sure.
I'm very busy. Yes.
So tell me, we want to kind of dive into the industry here. Obviously, we have people that are going to be watching that are interested in becoming a model, maybe have not yet had a chance to be represented. Tell me, what is it that you're looking for primarily when you have a new model in front of you? Like, what are some of the key aspects that stand out in your mind as somebody that you may want to work with?
Obviously, there's a physical element of like, does this person have extremely large eyes or a very, striking nose, or the face, like something physical that just kind of unique, that kind of stands out from everybody else. But at the end of the day, honestly, we all have a different face. So obviously there are faces that are easier to photograph, and the more symmetrical your face is, the more successful you can be, um, especially a beauty model. But really, and this might sound cheesy, but it's personality. There are a million people that are going to look better than you, or younger or older or taller or thinner or more petite or more curvy or whatever. And it's truly the personality that makes you stand out. And it's the personality of both, like as an agent, if I meet with a model, um, for a meeting, and even if it's in person or virtual, you can kind of tell pretty quickly if this person has the drive to go the distance. Um, Everybody wants to be a model. Everybody wants to be, viral on TikTok. But do you have the personality first to get the job, to go to a casting, and to be able to quickly, because castings are quick, to be able to grab the client's attention quickly? That's the first thing. Then, do you have the personality to actually show up to the job if you get booked and do a good job? And then third, do you have the personality to withstand everything that this industry, when you're a model and you're booking jobs here and there, whatever, there's traveling involved, and you're going to be alone, and you're going to be away from home, and all of those things. After doing this for a long time, I feel like I can kind of like sense that in a quick conversation with someone, like kind of sense the personality. And I think a lot of people, I talk to them and I'm like, oh, what are your goals? Oh, I want to be a model. And I ask them a few key questions, and from their responses that are like, I'm like, why do you want to be a model? Oh, I love taking photos of myself, and I just want to be pretty, and I just want to have money and have a lot of followers, and like that's it. That's probably not going to build a strong career. When you see people that actually have done their research, and research means taking, classes like what we're doing right now, and watching interviews on YouTube, and following the right people, following agents. And if you only follow models, that's not going to give you, that only gives you one side of the story. You should be following on Instagram agents, stylists, designers, casting directors, etc., and kind of learning more about the business and seeing exactly what's going on nowadays. And there's always, sorry, I'm giving you a very long answer to your question.
Yeah, that's fine. I love it.
I have a lot to say. Trends are always changing, and there's always things that are the new hot thing. But in general, this industry is an industry where the personality is going to get you far. You might have the most amazing body with the best face, and that certainly will open the door. But if there's no personality behind it, it's not going to go far. And it's not just personality, meaning somebody that's alive in front of the camera, and somebody, it's also that, what I was saying is that personality, somebody that's going to be disciplined and hardworking and really go after the job. If the agent feels like, I always say, as an agent, if I feel like I want it more than you, it's not going to happen. I may look at you and be like, oh my God, you are the most amazing model I've ever found, and I'm going to make you a star. If you don't want it more than me, it's not going to happen. So, and I've had situations, it doesn't happen to me really anymore, but in the beginning, I would just like be so inspired by, certain talents that I would find, and I would push and do everything in my power to make them a star. And it wouldn't happen because they didn't really want it. They weren't willing to put in the effort that it took.
So you saw that they had the
Did I
potential,
lose you?
but you were trying very, very hard to try to get them out there. They just didn't have the desire or drive to do it.
Yep. And I feel
But
like I
you
can
know what?
spot that pretty quickly now.
You've been in the industry for a while, and so obviously you've seen a lot of people. For some reason, my screen keeps kind of breaking up a little bit. I apologize. Is it delaying on your end as well?
A little bit.
There seems to be a little bit of a lag, but David, I love that you mentioned personality, because in the acting world, that's a big deal, right? Everybody talks about that. Everybody says, oh, how does an actor make it in this industry? Well, they have to have great personality. But it translates into all areas of the entertainment business. You have to be, number one, personable, friendly, but also have just that little extra desire and drive to become that supermodel, or to become that famous actor. You have to have that personality, right? I mean, you can have, like you said, the look, and I love that even with modeling, it goes even deeper than that, because there's a lot of beautiful people out there, but not a lot of beautiful people can get the jobs, like you said.
It's people, I think that modeling gets the reputation or the perception of people of modeling is just like, oh, you look pretty and you just take your photo and that's it. And it looks very glamorous. And there definitely is a very glamorous side to our job. But it's, I don't know, 30% maybe of the other 70% is work. It's going to the gym, being healthy, taking care of your skin, working on your movement, going to castings, taking self-tapes, the whole thing. It's work. That's why we get paid for it. It's not a hobby. It's not like, and I'm I love my job and I really enjoy it and it's very fun. But there's days where it's not as fun, and days where it's tough, and days where it's hard, and days where you don't feel like doing all the stuff you need to do. And those days are really where I feel like that's where you really prove your worth. Um, there's so much more to the job, and at the end of the day, when you're a model, you're an independent contractor. Like you don't have, it's your own. You own your own company, and your company is you. And it's double the work because you're taking care of the whole ship, let's say. And obviously, your agents help you manage your career and push you and book you the jobs, but you are the one that has to wake up and show up to the job and do the job. And there are shoots sometimes where it's going to be really hot and it's exhausting and the shoe is uncomfortable and little things like that. But of course, there's a buildup, and it's hard, and it's harder than it looks. And the final image is going to look beautiful and it's going to look effortless. That's what we want it to look like. But there's a lot of work behind it. And there's definitely, for example, when you're doing really well and you're a top model and you're traveling the world, that means that there's a lot of, red-eye flights and going to random locations. And there's obviously a really cool part to traveling the world. But there's the other side of showing up and working with a bunch of people that like speak limited amounts of English and you don't understand them very well and you have to figure out how to communicate, and sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating, and sometimes if you're shooting outside and the light's being weird, the photographer is kind of tense, so then the stylist is kind of tense, so the whole vibe is a little tense in the shoot, and you as the model have to kind of like pick up the slack and like, carry, because the photographer can have a, have a bitchy face on the entire day. It doesn't matter, he's not in the photo. He can show how tense he is. You can't. And if the stylist didn't sleep all night and comes to work with huge bags under his eyes, doesn't matter. They're not taking his photo. You as the model, you have to go that extra inch, and to look the best and get your sleep and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a lot more work than people think. Everybody thinks that they can be a good model just because they know how to take like beautiful selfies, but that's not really what modeling entails.
Right. And I know that you've been in the business for a while, so you've built relationships with the clients that are booking your models. You've gotten a reputation, you've worked with them, and you've supplied models to these clients. And so your reputation's on the line when one of your clients shows up and isn't prepared or isn't ready to perform on set that day, right?
100%. And I always say, like, I value my reputation and my relationship with these clients. And there are many moments where I will tell someone, hey, I just found this model. They're really new. They've been modeling for 2 months, but they're amazing. They have so much energy. So it doesn't mean that like you have to have been doing it forever and be the best model in the universe, for an agent to be excited and to push you, and for a client to want to work with you knowing that you've only been doing this for 2 months, etc. But I'm not going to say, oh, this model is always so professional, they're always on time, hardest working. And if I know that that's not true, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to put myself out there for you knowing that you're going to, so I'm not going to push you for a job if I know that every time that you have an appointment or a casting or whatever, you're always late, you're always unprepared. I'm not going to fight for you. If I know that you're always trying to give 110%, I will tell the best clients out there, hey, this is a brand new model, and they have very little experience, but they are so hardworking, and they're the most professional, and they're going to give it their all. I will say it, and clients will respond to that. It's not, there's definitely people that are open to giving you a chance when you're very new. But again, most agencies are not going to go out on a limb and say that you are the most professional, the most on time, whatever, if you're not. Because then the client is going to call me and say, hey, you said that this person was blah, 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 and they showed up late. They were on their phone the whole time, texting their boyfriend and fighting with them. They, tried to take 100 cigarette breaks. All those things affect my relationship with the client, because they're going to say, why didn't you tell me all these things? Why didn't you just send me another model? So I'm not going to lie. And if I tell a client, hey, this person's brand new, but they have the best energy, and you show up and they can tell that you haven't been doing this for a long time, but you do have that energy, they're going to be fine. They're going to be very willing to work with you and to push you to, raise the bar. But I'm not going to say things that are untrue and make them believe that you are the most professional when I know that you are like, always late and like never giving it your best.
Right. Are there any resources that you know of that models can go to? Are there any like things that they can do to help drive their career forward? Like if they're sitting somewhere right now and they want to become a model, what's the best thing that they can do to work on to get to that next step to become a professional model?
I mean, I will say honestly, we are so lucky that we have YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all these things that when I was starting, YouTube existed, but it wasn't what it is today. Um, you can do so much research on your phone. If you live in a little city in the middle of nowhere, you can do a lot of research. Like I was saying, following all the different, you should be watching every fashion show. Like, for example, if you're trying to do, high fashion, and go online and watch the latest Gucci show, Prada, Chanel, Dior, watch the shows, notice the kind of models that they're booking, notice how they're walking, notice how they walk very differently from one show to another. The vibe, changes. Follow models on Instagram, realize who are the models that are working, the new models especially that are working nowadays, and also the top models that you admire and that you would like to have a career similar to them. Watch interviews on YouTube of very successful models that you can find interviews of them kind of telling you how their career broke through and what were their biggest challenges, etc. I would even say message people. I get messages on everybody that's watching. By the way, if you ever have a random question, please hit me up. I try to be very good about answering as quick as possible. Sometimes some messages get lost, but I have a lot of my models that I know that random people will message them and say, hey, I'm starting to model. If you have any tips. I would say asking a direct question is the best, because if you say to someone, do you have any tips? That's so broad. Ask specific questions. Hey, I live in Montana and I want to move to New York. How do you recommend, like specific questions are much easier to get like a good answer to. But that's one of the best ways to learn is ask people that are already doing it, and ask people that have been doing it for a year, and their struggle and the beginning stories that are very fresh, and then ask somebody that's been doing it for 10, 20 years and is very successful. A little bit of everybody. And obviously, if you're asking the most famous models in the world, they're probably not going to answer. They have millions and millions of DMs, but find other people that are successful and maybe they're not like super famous, and they will see your messages. And if you comment on a photo and you comment a question, most likely they will read it and they will find the time to answer. There's so much information out there that if you look, you can find it. And then it's also putting it into practice. Like film yourself, if you live in Los Angeles and New York and cities where there's tons of agencies, then reach out in the middle of nowhere, and that's harder for you to do. You can research what agencies are good, email them your book, email them a casting video. Hi, my name is David. I'm from Mexico. I want to model. I'm 20 years old and I'm 5'11", whatever. But I do feel that a lot of people show very little interest. I will get emails sometimes of people and they're like, hi, my name is Jeremy and I want to be a model, and I live in Utah, and they send a little video, and the video is like dark, blurry, like very poorly shot. I'm not asking for a professional video, but any of us know that you can film yourself with the light coming at you from the front and looking nice and look like you showered, and look, if I'm going to see your bedroom behind your casting video, maybe clean up, like it's little details that go a long way. And I feel like that's where you can kind of tell when people really want it, or when people are just like, oh, whatever. Everybody in my high school thinks I'm pretty, so maybe I can model,
Right. So shifting questions a little bit here. I know that you've been in the business for a while. Can anybody just model? I know that the industry, that like you said, the trends are different, but we have a lot of people that are like not the typical model size anymore. Are you seeing that to be true within your market, or what are you seeing trend wise that it's currently happening?
I would say the quick answer is yes. Anybody can model. I have seen models of every shape and size and age, and with disabilities. There's a model that I run into a lot. She's with another agency, but she's in a wheelchair. She's redhead. She's gorgeous, and she's in a wheelchair, and she's been doing so much stuff. And obviously, she's an advocate for opening doors to models with disabilities. But she has done like the coolest covers, and she posts a lot of content about like her struggles and how it's been hard to break into modeling, but she's done it. She hasn't taken no for an answer, and I really admire her. And I know personally, but I know so many models that didn't have the conventional looks that you would think that you need to model. And I will say it's harder, but don't take no for an answer. That being said, give it your 110%, because there are people that are like, oh, whatever, like they're not going to book me because I'm shorter or I'm, curvier, and their attitude is just all negative and defeatist, instead of being like, I'm so glad that nowadays there are more options and more. When I started in the industry, no way. The beauty standard was this narrow, and it was like, if you didn't have exactly this, it was not going to happen. Nowadays, there are so many jobs for so many different kind of backgrounds of age, race, hair color, skin color, body shape, everything. Bigger now, because you are competing with somebody that's older than you, somebody that's younger than you, somebody that's thicker, uh, curvier, edgier, more commercial, etc. So the competition is huge, and you really need to stand out with your personality. Sometimes you are exactly what the client wanted, and the client in their head had this idea of somebody with this kind of nose and this kind of eye and this kind of body shape, and you walk in the door and you are exactly what they had in their head. Most of the time you are not, and everybody is not exactly what the client wants. But you can show up to the casting. I have this one model who she's a brunette, and there was this casting one time for blondes, and I told her, hey, you should go. They literally only requested blondes, but I feel like they're gonna like you, and and she's like, sure, I'll go. And she went to this casting and she booked the job. She has very dark hair, and the client wanted a blonde, but she showed up to this casting with this attitude of like, and she's done that many times where it didn't work. She still, she showed up with the best attitude and she still didn't book the job. Um, but clients will remember you. And if you walk into a casting today for a bridal shoot and you're not exactly what they wanted,
Oh, I lost you. David, are you still there?
lose you.
Oh yeah, for a second you cut off. There you go.
Sorry.
You were telling us about if you walked in for a bridal shoot.
Yeah, let's say you have a casting today and it's for a bridal shoot, and you walk in the door and and you are not at all what they were. Let's just say, for example, you have very short hair and they wanted super long hair. You're not going to book it, no matter how nice you are, no matter how well you do it. You're not going to book it. But if you have the right attitude and you wow the clients, a lot of times they're already thinking, oh, we're working on this bridal shoot, but next week we have this other swimsuit shoot, and then the week after that we're shooting this back to school commercial. And so you might go in for this casting that you're not going to book, but you're going to make the client remember you, and they know that they have this other casting in a week, and they're going to call your agent and be like, hey, we just met this kid, we really like them, can we please see them next week for this thing? Or they might be like, hey, we think that he's right for this other job that's in 2 weeks. Is he available? And so there's this is an industry where there's so much rejection, and a lot of it has nothing to do with you, and they wanted somebody with a longer beard, and sometimes they won't tell you. Like, sometimes there is very specific information, but sometimes it might be a casting that you and I right now show up to, and they didn't say that they wanted a longer beard, and the second you walk in the door, they like your beard, and you're going to book the job because they don't have 2 weeks or I don't know how long it would take me to grow a beard. And they're not going to tell me that. And so I won't know why I didn't book it. And I could go home and cry my eyes out and be like, oh my God. Or, the best thing you can always do is ask your agency, hey, do you have any feedback? And a lot of times there is zero feedback. The clients don't have the time to give feedback for 200 models that they saw. Sometimes there really is no feedback. Sometimes they will tell you, oh my God, we love your look. You're too young for this thing that we're casting. And I always say, thank you so much. Whenever I get any feedback for any of my models, I love it. Because I love being able to call them and say, hey, they really liked you. They thought you were too young for the job. Hey, you're too tall for the dress. The dress is not going to be long enough for your legs. Hey, you're too short for the dress. They can't cut the dress, and the dress is super long, and they need somebody that's 5'11", and you're 5'10", 5'9", 5'7", whatever. But a lot of times there is no feedback, good or bad. And you just have to know that, like, you gave it your all, and that job wasn't the job for you, and there's a million other jobs that can happen. But you can leave a great impression on somebody. Let's just say, again, the beard thing, that I went to a casting and they booked you. But if I showed up and looked at the part and looked great and made a connection with the client, they will have a positive, they will remember me. And there will be another job in a month or in a year where they will probably book me. So
this business is all about networking, with the acting world, with the modeling world. It's about who you know, making impressions everywhere you go. And you're not always going to receive a yes. Even the most famous models in the world have gone to castings and received no's, right? They don't book everything, do they?
Even if you are the most, anybody that's watching, whoever you think is the top model that you worship and wish you had, they get no's all the time. And let's just use somebody like a Gigi Hadid or Kendall Jenner that are super, super famous. It's not like they get rejected in the sense that they went to a casting, but they have stuff that they want to do, and they're like, oh my God, the new product campaign. And their agency says, hey, she's available, whatever, and they decide to book some other model. It's still a rejection. Like, maybe that, okay, maybe you didn't go to a casting because you're super famous and they didn't ask you to go to the casting, but your agent sent them your photo, told them you're available, whatever, and you didn't book the job. It's still a rejection. There are a lot of times, for example, models that are very famous, they're also trying to sometimes host the MTV Awards, or, be in this movie or whatever, do something that's out of their comfort zone. And there's a million things that they try and they don't get booked for the job. The rejection is everywhere. And sometimes there's things that they get rejected for because they're too famous and the designer wanted a brand new face. You can never be everyone's cup of tea. Right. Sometimes you're too famous. Sometimes you worked so much this year that people are a little sick of your face because you've done so many covers. And so you can never get it right. So rejection is definitely the name of the game. There is a lot of rejection. And I would say 99% of the time, it is not personal. Every once in a while, it is personal. And if it's personal, it's because they either worked with you before and they hated your attitude, or or let's say that this designer is shooting, their lookbook, and the photographer is like, hey, this girl that they just offered us, do not book her. I worked with her on this other job and she was a nightmare. She showed up late. She complained about the hair and makeup. She didn't like the dress, etc. So every once in a while, the rejection is 100% personal. But I would say 95% of the time, it's not. It's you weren't what the client wanted.
Right. And so you're telling me that if I go to a model casting, Kendall Jenner's not going to be there next to me?
Most likely not. I will say, for example, when I started in New York, I started as an agent in New York, and I would go. I would help the new girls go to the castings during Fashion Week when it was like a busy day, and sometimes we would have 22 castings for shows over and over. It was awesome. Like, it was awful. And we would go to the casting, and we would be waiting, and let's say there were 10 or 15 girls ahead of, whoever I was with. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't Gigi and Kendall when I started. It was, other girls, but they would walk in the door, and somebody from the designers team or whatever would kind of see them get out of the elevator and be like, "Oh, hi, come here." Like Coco Rocha and like the girls that were Jessica Stam, and those were the top girls of the moment when I started. And they would skip the line, and it's like there's a part that's awful about it, and you're like, really, like we're waiting here, and this girl's just gonna. They were the new girl. One day, everybody starts, and even the nepo babies. I will say, like, I was working when girls like Gigi Hadid and Kendall Jenner started, and yes, they had a lot of perks and a lot of shortcuts, but they also had a lot of, like, in the beginning, for example, Gigi, nobody wanted to work with her because her mom was on Real Housewives, and because they thought that she was too this and too that, and it was hard. I was Kendall Jenner's first fashion show was Marc Jacobs, and one of my girls was walking the show as well, and they were standing next to each other in the lineup. And Kendall's agent is my ex-boss, and I love him to death. And I'm not gonna say, like, she was already very famous and very successful, but everybody was talking crap about her behind her back, and everybody was giving her dirty looks because they were just like judging her just because she's one of the Kardashians. So everybody deals with something negative, and it's not, nobody can tell you that they've just had nobody's been handed just like their career on a gold platter day one. And sometimes I will say that I've seen models that kind of rise to fame very quickly, and it just kind of snapped in 2 seconds, and they're on the cover of this and on the cover of that. But then there's always the backlash of it started too quick and then it dies down. And it's normal. For me, I've been around forever. I know that this career can be a roller coaster, and there are times where you're super successful and times where it's super slow, and it's a marathon. It's not a quick race. So for agents that have been around forever, it's really easy for me to say, don't worry, it's a slow time or a tricky time in your career. It's going to get better. You're going to be fine. When it's your career and you are used to, like, you're on like a gold streak and you're just booking every job, and then it slows down. You're like, it's normal. But when it's your livelihood and it's your face that people got sick of because you were so successful that they saw it so much, I'm sure that's hard to take it, that rejection and to take it personal. But that's what we as an agent do, and kind of try to educate the talent and tell them, listen, this is totally normal. You booked every campaign. Everybody saw you. They're a little sick of your face. It's fine. It'll come back around. Like, and there's times of, what time to harvest and time to plant. And so, like, if right now it's not your hottest moment, maybe let's cut your hair, and maybe let's do like a big hair transformation, and maybe if this semester is a little slow for you in terms of modeling, maybe it's a great time to take some acting classes and prepare yourself for the next stage in your career, if that's what you want to do. I've had a lot of models that want to go into hosting, and it's like, it's harder. There's not a lot of, like, hosting courses, or at least that I know, TV hosting. But I just tell them, listen, treat your Instagram like it's a TV show, and do some lives, with people, and interview them and whatever. And everything helps you to get your foot into the door of some other, thing. It's all networking. It's all who you know. For me, I think that for everybody out there watching, don't stress about the amount of followers that you have on Instagram. I would stress about the content that you have. If somebody right now just sends me the profile of some random person, and I go on there and they have 10 photos, 20 photos. I don't care about the number, but they're good photos where I can see their potential as a model, and they have 20 followers on Instagram. I'm not going to care. That's not going to stop me from booking them. And if they have 1 million followers, but they have nothing on their profile that says model to me, if they have 1 million followers, I'm sure they're successful in some other thing. I'm sure they're making money off of TikTok or whatever. But I'm not gonna be interested in working with them in terms of model. So I feel like a lot of this new generation, they're so stressed about having like millions of followers. That's not the goal. The goal is to be, if you want to be a model, be a model. Learn how to photograph, learn how to pose, learn how to give something to the camera. I will say that I think most people have like their one safe, if they see a camera, they're going to give you that one face. That's not a model. And not all of us were born to be a model, and that's fine. But if you really want to be, like, I was not born to be a model. Like, I love this industry. I love all aspects about it, but I could never have been a model. I have one look. For any of you that go on my Instagram, you'll see that I have literally one pose and one look. But that's okay. But I'm not trying to be a model. If I was a model, people would tell me that I'm the most boring model on earth, because I literally stand, every time I see a camera, I stand the exact same way, and I make the same face. It's very boring if I was a model. I'm not. Which brings me to a point of, like, for everybody watching, you might think you want to be a model, and I would say my advice is go for it, but go for it 100%. Don't half-ass it. Go for it 100%. You might find on the road, you might find that you thought you wanted to be a model, but you love the other aspect of being an agent, being a stylist, being a fashion editor. There are so many jobs in this industry that are so cool and so interesting, and I'm always very jealous of photographers. I wish I could shoot these amazing images that I see. Makeup artists, sometimes they can transform a face so much. I find it fascinating. So I'm jealous of everybody. I wish I could do every aspect of this industry. But I'm happy that I found my niche of what I'm good at and what I love. And it's opened doors for me, and I've been able to travel the world and get to know amazing people because I found what I'm good at. So,
Oh, I lost you again. David, are you there? We have connection issues from Mexico City. Can you hear me? There you are. So can you hear me?
oh my God. Hello?
Yep, I can hear you.
I was going to say, for all of you starting out, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, listen to everything, watch everything, observe, ask questions. People are usually very happy to answer. And find out where your niche is. And if you want to be a model and your dream is to do Victoria's Secret, but maybe that's not really where you fit in, but you fit in really well with Marc Jacobs and with Prada, like, find what find a niche for yourself. And that doesn't mean that if rules were meant to be broken. And, I'm happy when I see people that I would have thought that they would not be able to do XYZ, and then they do it. I love that. But I will say, don't become obsessed with just one thing. This is
I lost. Oh, there we go.
the opportunity. So many. There's space for all of us. So really keep your eyes open and see where you can fit in. And the more people that networking is everything. So follow every person that you can find on Instagram that can give you a little bit of information. Everything will take you one step closer to your dream.
I love how you talk about Instagram and how important it is to have you know, like you said, 10 good photos for you to be able to see them as a model. It's not about the followers, it's about the photos, how they look on their Instagram. Real briefly, how do you feel when you see somebody's Instagram and every photo looks fake? Like the filters are just poured on. Is that a good look?
That's a major turn off because, first of all, good light is a great filter from the sun. If you and the right angle, it's learn your angles and learn light more than using filters, because I think I've seen models that reach out to me and their Instagram is all filtered, and I'm like, oh, and it really turns me off to them. And then at some other point, I bump into either a real photo of them or I bump into them in person, and I'm like, oh my God, like you're gorgeous. Why did you use all those filters? It's like, what the heck? So I would say my advice is like, cut the filters down to like 0% or 5% at the most. If there's a photo that you know, the one photo that is all filtered up, whatever. But other than that, no. There needs to be photos where I can see your natural face. Don't lie. If you message an agency and you tell them like, hi, you know, I'm 20 years old and I'm 5'11", and you're really 30 years old and 5'7", what's the point? And the worst part is there is jobs for girls who are 5'7" and 5'6" and 5'10" and 5'11" and age 17 and age 47. Don't lie. Tell us the truth, and then we will tell you, hey, listen, this is where I think that your career can go.
Right. Now, how does somebody reach out to you? So they're interested in getting representation by you. What's the best approach?
You can reach out to me on my Instagram, which is below here on the screen, or on my Paragon Instagram, which is my agency, which is right there as well. On our website, there's an email there. You can reach out to us there as well. And just like I said, keep it short and sweet. Whenever you reach out to any agency, short and sweet. Hi, my name is David. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Mexico. I'm 6 feet tall, and I've done a few things, and these are the photos of what I've done. I've done absolutely nothing. I've never modeled in my life. My best friend took these 3 photos of me. Boom. Don't lie. Keep it simple. Keep it short. That's it. You know, you can say, don't say, I live in New York City if you don't live in New York City. Be honest. You can say, hey, I live in New Jersey. I can come in all the time. Hey, I live in Tampa and I'm looking to relocate, or I cannot relocate, but I'm willing to travel for opportunities. Just keep it short and sweet and honest. That's all we need. And I would say reach out to 20 agencies at the very least, because the odds are half of them will not see your message, or they will see it on a bad day and you're not exactly what they're looking for and they're not going to respond. And so if you reach out to 20, your odds of a response are much higher. I'm kind of intense, so if I was trying to model, I would reach out to like 1 million. Because honestly, it doesn't take much effort. It's like I'll copy paste the same message and send it to a ton of agencies and see. And if I get responses, but from 20 of them saying, hey, we think you're good for this market or whatever, that's also going to help me see, okay, like these agencies didn't respond, and these agencies clearly have a type, and this is their type, but these all agencies did respond, and I can see the kind of models that they represent. So, okay, clearly I'm probably good for these kinds of clients, you know? Right. I treat everything like a lesson, and I feel like everything you can really, if you pay attention to details, you can really learn a lot.
How many messages are you receiving every day on this account?
A lot. A lot. But I will say, I receive a lot of messages that I have stopped responding to. For example, hello.
I lost you again.
Oh, I'm here. I see you and I hear you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. You're
it's not Tinder. Like, don't say hello and expect me to start a conversation. Like, send me one message. The intro that I said, like, be professional. It's not like a hi, how are you? No, doesn't matter how I am. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Jeremy. Boom, like, go straight into the point. And when I see a professional and well-written message, I respond 100%.
Nice.
And
Love
sometimes
it.
you're going to get lucky because the day you send the message, 20 minutes later, I was trying to like go through messages and you got a response really quickly. And you might send a message and I might respond 2 weeks later because sometimes we get so many messages. But if it's a well-written message and we will respond.
David, I lost your video, but we're running out of time anyway,
Oh
so
no,
that's okay.
I'm
uh,
still here.
I, any big plans this weekend? What are you doing? Anything fun?
Oh Lord, no. Well, yeah, I'm going to play tomorrow to see one of my friends. She's in a new play. She's an actress. But next week I have so much work, so it's exciting. It's really cool stuff. I have one of the actresses that I represent. She is doing Wicked, like the Spanish version. She's doing the
Oh,
voiceover.
nice. Okay.
So she did the part one, and now she's doing part two. So we start recording that and shooting a few covers next week with some of my talent that I represent. So it's very exciting stuff.
Lot going on. I love it. Well,
Yeah,
I want to slate you. We're in the middle of producing a reality model runway show. So
love.
it's, yes. So we are going to be filming. It's going to be in Puerto Rico, and it's going to be starting at the end of September, kind of through the first week of October. So have you been to Puerto Rico yet?
Yes, when I was 12, so it doesn't count. I would love to go back.
Okay. Well, don't fill up your entire calendar from September 25th to October 7th.
Love.
I
Awesome.
want you to come out and maybe be a guest judge of one of the competitions with the models.
Oh my God, that would be so fun. I love that.
So,
Yeah, thank you. I would love that.
yeah, I would love to have you come out and experience Puerto Rico with us and come and see the models that are competing and get your professional opinion on that. So,
That sounds so fun. I would love to do that.
well, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day and enjoy your weekend, enjoy the play, and hope to see you soon on the next time we're live.
We will see you very soon. I'd love that. Thank you for your time. And everybody listening, thank you for listening. And if you have any follow-up questions, hit me up. And yeah, have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Bye.
All right. That being said, if anybody watching today is interested in auditioning with our team, we do have a team that's doing holding auditions. So if you're interested, I'm going to put the ticker down there below to be on the platform. Now, on the platform, there's a way for you to be able to communicate with someone like myself, other agents, other managers, other people that are on that platform. There's a bunch of educational products on there as well. So feel free. It is a professional platform. We do require you to have some level of experience in the acting or modeling world. Those of you who are watching today, if you had any questions about the stream, feel free to hit me up. My profile is on there at the members lounge. So find me in the profile, send me a quick chat, and I'd love to be able to answer any questions for you guys. If you're interested in getting involved with that, learning more about the industry, on the screen below there, you can register and come to one of our auditions, and you might see myself or one of the other team members, of course, will be on there, and we will look forward to it. So a little bit of connection issues with David today. We'll try to make sure next time we're live with him that we have a better stream happening there, but loved all the information and useful information for everybody out there. And I will see you guys on the next live. Thank you for joining.